Think fast and act fast. As the police moved away from the patrol car to process his transfer, this guy saw an opening as the garage door was closing. He sprinted out of the tiny opening with the best display of speed limbo you've ever seen in your life.
Yo, what up guys, Kelvin here. Today we're gonna be reacting to real prison escape caught on camera. Since we are talking about prisons, have you guys done anything while you were young and got you in big trouble? Well, let me tell you a story of one thing I did while I was young got me in big trouble. I was like around 8 years old in art class, okay? And I was drawing a candle. I was really trying to draw a candle and it ended up looking like a penis. And nobody believed me that it was a candle. Everybody thought it was a penis, so the teacher sent me to the principal office. And the principal didn't believe me either. And after that, they handed me a detention. You know, it was really bad. The worst thing is I drew it like on the whole paper. I don't know why I want to do like a candle that big, but it was the worst decision ever. It got me in big trouble. I think I still have the drawing with me. If you guys want to see it, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. If this video can reach maybe like 500 likes, I will show the picture because it is way too embarrassing. I will never forget it because I'm still trying to prove that I am not guilty. It was definitely a candle, but nobody believed me. Man, I was 8 years old. Why would I want to draw a penis? You know, that is just so weird. But anyways, today we're gonna be reacting to real prison escape caught on camera. So yeah, let's get right in with the reaction.
Criminals have been trying to escape prisons ever since their inception. In most cases, prison breaks fail, but this isn't always the case. Escapes don't only happen in the movies, as they actually happen much more often than you'd like to think in the real world. It's human nature to seek freedom, and it's going to be very clear the lengths some people will take to relish that sweet taste of fresh air. Luckily for us, most fail, but those very few truly committed criminals who are willing to risk it for the biscuit sometimes succeed spectacularly. Ready to meet the guys that escaped and lived to tell the tale? Let's get it on. Under the radar. Sometimes you just have to wing it. No pre-planning, thought process, or careful consideration. If you see an opening, you take it. Two inmates were on garage duty outside the high fences of the prison. All it took was a fleeting glance towards each other, a little nod, and they were off. They bolted out of the prison grounds as fast as they could, leaving the supervising guard staring after them in disbelief as he called in the escape on his radio. Once the coast was clear, the pair split up to go their separate ways, every man for himself. They were apprehended a few days later in a nearby barn and apartment complex. How these guys flew under the radar and convinced the guards to let them outside without restraints is anyone's guess.
Here's the thing I don't get. When the prisoner started running, I mean the guard didn't even chase after them. He was like, call for backup, two prisoners escaped. I mean, I bet he was so confident that they gonna get caught. He wasn't even trying, you know. Look at him. He was
on his radio. Once the coast was clear, the pair split up to go their separate ways, every man for himself. They were apprehended a few days later in a nearby barn and apartment complex. How these guys flew under the radar and convinced the guards to let them outside without restraints is anyone's guess. Over the fence. Some criminals would move heaven and earth in order to be free from the prison walls. Others would just simply move part of the wall. These two inmates removed a couple of cinder blocks and squeezed through the openings before throwing a blanket over a 25-foot-high razor wire fence and fleeing into the woods. The holes in the wall were covered by posters, and they even made dummies out of pillows and blankets in their beds to buy them valuable time. After all that work, they were caught when a local resident saw tracks in the mud at a nearby creek and alerted the authorities. If you're thinking of breaking out of jail, it'd probably be best if you didn't follow in the footsteps of these crooks.
And threw a blanket over the razor wire before running across the roof to a temporary freedom.
Think fast, act fast. When at first you don't succeed, try and try again. After a few failed attempts over the course of the day, this jailbird decided to bide his time and wait for his moment. When one presented itself, he had to think fast and act fast. As the police moved away from the patrol car to process his transfer, this guy saw an opening as the garage door was closing. He sprinted out of the tiny opening with the best display of speed limbo you've ever seen in your life. As the roller door closed behind him, it took the cops valuable minutes to get outside, and by this stage, he was long gone. He covered so much ground that not even a 2-hour sniffer dog search could find him. He was arrested the next day, and you could say his luck had run out. Pun very much intended.
Man, I gotta say, he is pretty good. Look at him. The police was just not paying attention and he just took off. That required a lot of courage. I gotta give him that for credit, He just, man, he went fast.
Slow and controlled. When you're not a criminal mastermind, you have to play to your strengths. Being a silver-tongued Casanova has its perks, especially if the guard making eyes at you just happens to be holding the keys to the only barrier between you and freedom. These guys calmly opened the gate and casually strolled out of the jail with no urgency at all, without a care in the world. There aren't many scenarios where a prison guard and an escaped con can live happily ever after. She's seen running her hands through her hair and looking totally stressed out, rethinking her life choices. The following day, she's arrested, and the three guys on the run are apprehended 5 days later after a tense siege with police. Stick to what you're good at, guys. Breaking hearts, not breaking out of jail.
A camera in the alley outside captured the men dressed in all white casually walking away.
Van hit and run. If something's too good to be true, it generally is. A group of prisoners were being escorted through the garage on their way back to their cells. One is seen lingering, and soon after walks behind a transport van out of sight, with the guards going ahead and not noticing he's missing. All that's left for him to do is open the door, turn the key that's so conveniently sitting in the ignition, and start the van. It's like the stars have aligned and the universe is almost begging him to take his chances for freedom. He floors the van, smashed.
Wait, let me say this first. Why did the guard leave the key in the van? That is like the stupidest thing ever. I mean, someone could literally get on and get in it and then drive off.
Through the garage door and is free and clear. Or so he thought. He crashed into some trees nearby and was arrested. Most people steal a car and then get sent to jail, not the other way around.
Dang, he was, I bet he was getting way too excited when he got out of there. He was like, freedom, and then he drove way too fast and crashed into the tree. Man.
Handcuffs. Even dumb criminals get lucky breaks eventually. After being arrested at a motel for theft, this woman found her way into a police holding cell. She was left alone with her phone to try to arrange bail money and a life home. She struggles to break free of the cuffs, anchoring her to the wall in between checking text messages. Even though police say the cuffs were on its tightest setting, she was able to wriggle her dainty hands free. She took the keys off a hook on the wall and used them to open an emergency exit to quietly slip out the back door while no one was watching. She was busted an hour later when she returned to the same hotel where she was arrested that morning, instantly recognized by the staff who worked there.
I don't get why this lady is so dumb. Why would you go back to the same hotel that you were arrested? I would just pick a random hotel too. I mean, that looked like a cheap hotel. You can probably find another cheap hotel to live in. If you go to the same hotel that you got arrested, of course someone gonna recognize you. Man, you gotta be smart to be a criminal. You can't just be dumb. You gotta be Sherlock Holmes.
Same
But I gotta admit, that was some pretty good skills. How she was able to escape the lock. I mean, her bone was just really, really soft. Maybe that's why she can just squeeze through it. Look at that. That is just so impressive.
bulldozer attack. Denmark is famous for Vikings and Lego bricks, but mass prison escapes? Not so much. 25 years ago, a TV film crew received an anonymous tip about a protest outside of a prison in Copenhagen and went there to document the event. What happened next was a bulldozer slamming into the brick wall of the jail and knocking it down, with prisoners running out of the hole like ants fleeing from their nest. They can be seen running down the street laughing and cheering, celebrating their newfound freedom. The film crew were arrested on suspicion of having prior knowledge of the escape and failing to notify police. 13 inmates escaped in total, some with lengthy jail terms for violent crimes and murder, with only 3 ever being caught.
Whoa! Holy crap! That is scary.
Detail.
Man, so the film crew actually know about the detail of the escape. That's why they are there to film it, but they refuse to let the police know. And then 10 prisoners escape. That is first time. You know, the previous list, everybody got caught. But this list, 10 prisoners escape. And some of them are murders. Some of them are criminals. You know, they can do anything to cause trouble outside the world. This is so bad. Oh, man.
detailed instructions. Prisons are designed to keep inmates in, not to give them easy ways to get out. After all, the key to success is executing a carefully detailed plan. Typically, you would think that installing air vents large enough for a man to squeeze through close to the floor would be a bad idea in a prison, but this was exactly how this trio gained access into the plumbing shafts behind the wall. They used ropes made out of bed sheets and had a getaway van waiting with fresh clothes and a bottle of Jack Daniels for a celebratory drink. It only took 8 minutes for 3 inmates to complete their complex plan, ironically
Whoa.
using a cell phone to film their escape from their cell. These guys traded 15 minutes of fame for an extra 15 years behind bars. Daring escape.
Oh, that is bad, but I gotta admit, they actually film the whole process. I mean, if they upload that on YouTube, they could have made some good money. They'd be a famous YouTuber, you know? Look at that. That is some good, really good effort. But, man, it kind of sucks. 15 minutes for 15 years of prison. Oh, man. So, what do they teach? What does that teach you? Don't ever try to escape the prison. You know, if you try to escape, you're gonna get 10 or 15 years of extra jail time. So it's definitely not worth it. Just stay in the prison, get it done, and then go outside and find your new freedom, you know?
They say that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Arrested at school for fighting, this teenager was left alone in an interrogation room for only 10 seconds before he threw caution to the wind and fearlessly jumped out of a 16-foot-high second-story window.
Holy
He may
crap.
just have rubber bones, as he got straight back up after surviving the fall and got out of there as fast as his legs could carry him. The cop comes to check on him 14 minutes later, and you can clearly hear him saying a few choice words when he realizes what's happened. The boy was found 3 hours later at his friend's house. We can safely say that when he turns 21, the only bars he will be attending will be made of iron.
He got caught in his friend's house. You know what that means? His friend probably snitched on him. Man, that kind of sucks. He just picked the wrong friend. I mean, you jump off a 16-story to escape, and then your friend just gonna snitch on you? Oh, he must have a terrible day. Like, okay, here's a question to you guys. If you escape prison, where would you go? Would you go to your parents' house? Would you get your own motel? Or would you just stay at your friend's house? For me, I would just probably get like a motel or something, because I think that would be the safest way, because it's cheap and maybe nobody recognize you. You gotta go to a motel that nobody recognize you. That's the key thing. And then you go in there and then you just stay there, stay put. And another thing is, you do not want to contact anybody. If you contact somebody, they gonna snitch on you.
Ending will be made of iron. Through the window. The mind is a powerful thing. All you have to do is believe in yourself and commit. This inmate had a pretty simple plan. He was being processed in a detention center. One of his buddies would distract the guard while he made his getaway. When he saw an extremely small window, he thought, think thin, over and over in his head before taking a running leap, diving through the window. Once
No.
outside, he got into the getaway car his girlfriend was waiting in, and they were off like a modern-day Bonnie and Clyde.
Whoa.
26 days later, they were discovered living in an abandoned house in the next state after an anonymous tip-off. The warden
Okay, that is just so impressive how he was able to squeeze through that tiny
his head
little
before
window.
taking a running leap, diving
Look at that. You know, the window that you see at the bank is super tiny, and he was able to escape it. This guy, he's pretty smart. You know, when he was escaped, he went to another state, lived at an abandoned house. So it is definitely really, really hard to catch that guy. I think this guy lasted the longest in the whole video. Some prisoner got caught 2 days later. Others got caught maybe like 24 hours later. And this guy, he got caught 26 days later. Man, that is pretty good. I gotta admit, that is pretty good.
were off like a modern-day Bonnie and Clyde. 26 days later, they were discovered living in an abandoned house in the next state after an anonymous tip-off. The warden said he's taking extra steps and putting locking mechanisms on the window, which should have been a no-brainer in a prison.
The police actually follow him
And
too.
putting locking mechanisms on the window, which
Look at
should
that.
have been a no-brainer in a
Man,
prison.
Even the police can squeeze through the window. When they made that window, nobody tried to test it out to escape it. I mean, what were they doing? Even he can fit inside. Look, he looked like a pretty big dude. Okay, if he can fit inside, that is a big red flag. But yeah, guys, that is the end of the video. That was definitely a very interesting video. I do not want to go to prison or try to escape prison because it is very scary. I mean, if you get caught, you get like a 10-year of extra sentence. So the message for the video is try to stay out of trouble. You do not want to go to prison. That is the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. It really help out the channel. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. And my social media link is in the description below. And yeah, my name is Kelvin and I see you guys next video.